Hi guys, Russian state media is scrambling to keep up with the American news cycle, from the feud between Elon Musk and Donald Trump to the protests in Los Angeles. Both stories have offered fresh fodder for a familiar propaganda narrative that, the world is in chaos while Russia remains a calm and stable island amidst that global unrest. Since the start of the war in Ukraine, one of the central messages of Russian propaganda has been that everything is bad elsewhere, but everything is good here in Russia. It's no coincidence that nearly every Russian outlet gleefully reported how Elon Musk's father dined in Moscow on cutlets with mashed potatoes and reportedly almost fell off his chair in delight, both from the taste and from the low price tag, just 1,500 rubles. While Russia is portrayed as idyllic, America is cast as burning. Russian media coverage of the Los Angeles protests invokes phrases like civil war, Maidan, and color revolution. The unrest is compared to the Ukrainian uprisings, and foreign agents are blamed, of course. One of the main Russian propagandists, Vladimir Solovyov, mocked about the abundance of Mexican flags on the streets, and one of his guests stated outright, the worse it is for the United States, the better it is for us. The coverage paints an apocalyptic vision: fiery streets, chaos, violence. It gives the impression that the entire country is collapsing. Russian media used the same strategy during Euromaidan in Ukraine, depicting it as total societal breakdown. I lived in Kiev at that time, right in the city center, near Maidan. I remember terrified calls from my friends and family in Russia who had been watching Russian TV. They were sure we had no water or electricity, that it was dangerous to go outside, and of course, that Russian speakers were being beaten or killed. None of that was true, of course, but propaganda usually doesn't aim for truth, it aims for fear. And now the same fear is projected onto Los Angeles. Here is a quote from the nationalist channel Tsargrad. Los Angeles has always been considered a paradise on the West Coast, where America's richest jog through Beverly Hills with white-toothed smiles and Forbes list billionaires listen to the sound of the surf. I continue that quote. But now this paradise has become a branch of hell where something violent and terrifying is boiling. Hundreds of thousands of migrants, mainly from Mexico, Latin America, and the Middle East and Africa, have staged a riot. End of quote. Russian TV reminds viewers that LA has also faced recent natural disasters, such as devastating fires. It hardly matters actually to propaganda what the source of the crisis is. Anything can be twisted to reinforce the message that America is cursed. And yet salvation might still be possible, they suggest, under Donald Trump. Tsargrad continues. I will give you another quote. A real Maidan has begun in Los Angeles. No frills, cut and paste, a color revolution, same methods, same photos, same organizers. Only this time it's against Donald Trump. End of quote. Komsomolskaya Pravda, in its turn, one of Russia's most popular newspapers, praises Trump's decision to send the National Guard to Los Angeles. And here is a quote from the article: "Tales of peaceful protest and the inadmissibility of using force, those are the classic tricks of the color revolution playbook. That's how Yanukovych failed in Kiev in 2014. The US federal authorities were wise not to repeat that mistake in LA." End of quote. I doubt that the American authorities were thinking about Viktor Yanukovych, by the way. Meanwhile, Russia Today quotes political scientist Rafael Ordohanyan. They chose a good moment Trump is mired in trade disputes, fighting with Musk, dealing with uncertainty in Ukraine and NATO. This has nothing to do with illegal immigrants. Anything could be going on, but no one cares about the real cause. End of quote. It was Russia Today again. Russian media quickly pointed fingers, claiming the unrest was orchestrated by Trump's political opponents, the Democrats. The pro Kremlin site Ukraina.ru declared that they are trying to, quote, send Trump to the dustbin of history. But what's striking is how some American political rhetoric now begins to echo the Russian narratives. On Thursday, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem stated that the Trump administration would ramp up deportation operations in LA, promising to liberate the city. Let me remind you her words. We are not going away. We are staying to liberate the city from the socialists and the burdensome leadership of this governor and mayor. Liberate. That word rings a bell, doesn't it? It reminds me of something. From the beginning of the full scale war in Ukraine, Putin has claimed that Russia was liberating Ukrainian cities, even as they bomb them, kill civilians, and occupy territories. They are not invading. They say they're freeing people from the so called Kiev regime, meaning Volodymyr Zelensky. And now an American official uses the same word to justify deploying the National Guard in a US city. Some say Trump is using Putin's playbook. To be honest, I don't know where he gets his ideas, but as someone who lived in Russia and worked as a journalist there, much of this feels painfully familiar.